I'm assuming you've seen that before, a x minus h squared plus k. You want to identify the vertex. The vertex is what's called h comma k. The h value is always opposite what you see here. So because you see +2, the vertex is -2 for the x coordinate. So whatever this is opposite, the k value is this number off to the right here. Okay, and that's either the min or the max depending on the a value out in front here. All right, is that clear? Maybe you saw that in class.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm just going to zoom out. Oops, wrong way. Why wouldn't it do that? All right, let me grab a snip of a graph here so we can look at it. So the first point you will graph is that vertex point. So at -2, 1, so right there, that's your vertex. This one does open down because it's negative in front. Okay. In terms of what you do from here, there's a couple of options. It depends on how accurate your graph needs to be. You could, for example, make a table. Do you remember doing that in class?
He wants us to graph them. He never showed us how to do a table.
Okay. So because it kind of looks like you've got intercepts graphed here as well. Is that kind of not seeing that, but I'm just sort of asking, did that come up?
No, I don't think so. He said he
Okay.
just wants the vertex focus and
Okay.
diatrix.
Yes, directrix. Okay, so here we go. This is where you need this reference sheet that I just sent you. And we're going to take a look at the top left there, parabola, vertical axis. This is the one you're used to. You can just not get too caught up in what this is. So you need three things in this. You need what's called h, k, and then this p value. Okay, this p value is like, what is this p value? So the p value comes from, okay, and you have to rewrite this in another format. So we actually should start with that here. So let me just grab the problem one more time here. All right, so the real kind of the official form that you're supposed to use, put that off to the right here, is this form right here, x minus h squared on one side. So that's the x plus 2 squared, but then everything else is on the other. So we're going to first subtract 1 from both sides. So it's y minus 1 equals -1/2 x plus 2 squared. And then we're going to multiply both sides by -2 to clear that fraction there. All right, and then I'm going to just flip the sides. So this is going to be x plus 2 squared on the left equals -2 y minus 1 on the right. Any questions on what I've done there?
No, you just switch the sides basically.
Yes, and now I'm going to move that right underneath it. And this is how you do these problems, is you need to identify h, k, and p. All right, so h comes from inside parentheses here. It's the opposite of this number. So that's -2. We already said that. K is also opposite this number. So it is -1. So that becomes +1 opposite. And then 4p equals -2. So you take and divide by 4 here. 4p is the part in front. So p equals -1/2. You need these three things. For all conic sections, you're going to have to find like 3 to 5 of these constants that help you define all the other stuff that is going on there. So I know this is awkward and different. You probably never done this before, but this is the nature of what you're doing in this class right now. Like you gotta do this. The reason we rewrote it is so that you could get the 4p. You couldn't get it the way it was currently written. Is that okay? Kind of.
Yeah.
All right. Now that you have these three things, h, k, and p, you can then, and that's where I was kind of going with this. Let me grab this. Is we could then move this over here. We can then find all this other stuff, like the axis of symmetry. So the axis of symmetry is x equals h. x equals -2, okay? And you would go to your graph and then make the axis of symmetry x equals -2, like that. You would get the vertex. Your vertex is h comma k. We already have that -2 comma 1. We already plotted that point. The focus is h comma k plus v, -2 comma 1 minus 1/2. That becomes -2 comma 1/2. Okay, so the focus is this point inside the parabola. The focus, and maybe you want to make a note of that, the focus is always inside the parabola. So if it opens up, the focus is here. If it opens down, the focus is there. Is that okay?
Yeah.
So we're gonna go plot that point, -2 comma 1/2. So that's here, okay? So that's enough to basically graph this thing very generally like that, because the focus is inside the parabola, inside the vertex. Next one here is the directrix. The directrix is y equals k minus p. So that's 1 minus a minus 1/2. That's 3/2. That's a horizontal line up here at 3/2. That doesn't seem right. Oh, it's because I graphed the, I'm sorry, I graphed the directrix in the wrong place. I'm sorry, the focus. Focus should be up at 1/2. Let me use a different color. That's probably one of the issues here. So it's at -2 1/2 for that. And then the directrix is at 3/2, y equals 3/2. Okay. So there's this relationship between the directrix, vertex, and the focus. And it is that they are the same distance. They're equidistant from the vertex. So however much you go down or up to get to the focus is how much you down or go up to the directrix.
Is it always like that?
Yes. And you can see the difference. It's because it's k plus p, k minus p. So the last thing here, direction of opening, you already know this because you've looked at parabolas before. P greater than 0 opens up, P less than 0 opens down. So we know this opens down. We already knew that because we've looked at these types before. Questions, thoughts?
Yeah, it seems kind of complicated.
Yeah, it is. And the worst part is that there's two sides to know. Like there's what they call the vertical axis here, and then there's the horizontal axis, which is coming next. So that's why I generally tell students to beg, demand that you can use that reference sheet because it's a whole lot easier with the formulas in front of you.
Well, he's letting us use index card on the test, but on the quiz he's not.
Okay. Well, keep trying. Squeaky wheel gets the grease, kind of thing. All right, so number 3, this one is in the wrong format. Again, I'm actually a little surprised because typically they are a little nicer in how they give this to you. So we want the y minus k squared on one side, and then we want the x minus h on the other. So we're going to first here subtract 6 from both sides. So that gets you to the x minus 6 equals 1/4 y minus 6 squared. You're going to clear that 4 by multiplying both sides by 4. And then because the y minus k is on the left, I'm just going to switch sides here with these on the equal sign. So we'll move all of this that way, all of this that way. Y minus 6 squared equals 4x minus 6. Really important to get it in that standard form there. Can you attempt to give me the values of h, k, and p, please, for this?
So H would be would it be 6 or -6?
It is 6. It's opposite the sign in here. So most students remember it. How about K?
K would be would that also be 6?
Yes. To find P, see how 4P is in front of the X minus H. So 4P,
Yeah.
you're setting equal to 4 here to find P.
So 4P equals 4.
Okay, so what is P?
1.
1. Okay. All right. Now, having all that is so critical here. Just snip this in again so you can see it. I just don't even know how you can do this without having the reference sheet. I mean, it's so formulaically intense that it's just awful if you don't have it. So I'm crossing this out because we're using the one on the right here. Let me just bring those values down so we've got them kind of in our site here. So from here, you have to find the axis of symmetry, the vertex, the focus, and the directrix. And notice that all of these come from HK and P. Okay, so let's go one by one here. What is the axis of symmetry? What is your value of K?
So to find that, you would set Y equal to K.
Yep, and your K value is 6. So just to be clear, like you're not manipulating this equation anymore, or this the one. You're just using the values that you found for HK and P.
Wouldn't it also be 6?
Yes. And I always like to graph as you go. So I'm going to do that here. I find that that's better than waiting till the end. That is my preference. So Y equals 6. So we're going to draw a nice horizontal line there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There it is. You know, some sort of a nice horizontal dashed line at Y equals 6, like that. Okay. Next thing is the vertex, HK. What do you got for me? What's the vertex?
Um, 6, 6.
6, 6. Good. It's an ordered pair. It's the min or the max usually, but now it's the left or the right. So 6, 6 is right there. Boom, we've got it. Next one is the focus. Focus is H plus P. So you add those together, comma K. It's an ordered pair though when you're all done.
So it'd be 7, 6.
Okay. And it's not really a point, but it's you label it as a point. Okay. And I mentioned that the focus is always inside the parabola. So if that's the vertex, there's the focus, or if it opens the other way, there's the vertex and there's the focus. So we actually know now that this thing looks like this. We'll confirm that later on. How about the directrix? X equals H minus P. What is that?
X equals 5.
X equals 5. And we mentioned this earlier, and this is a horizontal vertical line here at X equals 5. Is this equidistant? I know it's really zoomed in here, but like, is that point, that distance there equidistant to that point there? It is.
Yeah.
It's 1. Okay. All right. Now, if P is greater than 0, it opens to the right. If P is less than 0, it opens to the left. P is greater than 0, so it opens to the right. So you've got everything. Thoughts on that?
So if it asked me what the vertex and the focus was, I would just say what the points of those two are.
Yes. Yes.
And then the directrix is x equals 5.
It's an equation. Yes. Same with the
Okay.
axis of symmetry. All right. Ready to do another one?
Yep.
Pretty exciting, I know. These are the easy ones, just to, just to set expectations properly. Like the one they get a lot harder from here. All right, so go back to our reference sheet. Again, this is one like we just did. Why don't you see if you can try to put it into this format as best you can. It's kind of like the last one. You got to move the constant over. You got to get rid of this number in front, switch sides. Do you want to give that a try for us, please?
Yeah. So to move the 2/5 over, would I make it into 5/2?
You'd multiply both sides by 5 or 2, yes.
Okay.
Let me know when you got something.
I don't think I did this right, but I got y plus 2 squared equals 5/2 times y plus 2 to the second power.
Should be x plus 3 because you're adding 3 to both sides, right?
Yeah.
And you're not squaring anything. You're just moving it. So this becomes, and I'll just write here, it's x plus 3 equals 2/5 y plus 2 squared. And then you're just multiplying both sides by 5/2 to clear that. And then you're just switching sides.
Oh, okay.
Okay. All right. So next thing here is to figure out H, K, and P. You want to give that a shot for us, please? I can snip in, excuse me, I could snip in the, well, you got it right there, actually. So
Would the h be -3?
it is. About K.
Um, so k would be -2.
Good. And then for P, you're setting 4P equal to 5/2. You have to solve that for P.
Would P equal 10?
So you're either dividing by 4, or what I would prefer here is multiplying by 1/4, because you want to remove that multiplication by 4. So typically you divide, but if you multiply by the reciprocal, that also works. That's what we did moving the 2/5 over. So you multiply the tops, multiply the bottoms, you should get 5
Oh,
over 8. Okay. So just be careful there. If you haven't done that in a while, you go the wrong way on that. You always look at the side with the variable to decide what to undo. All right. So from here, again, like the reason I'm having you do this is you have to be able to get H, K, and P. You cannot do any of this without H, K, and P. All right. So what I'd like you to do here is do your best here to find the axis of symmetry, vertex, focus, directrix, please. You can let me know as you go or at the end. I'm going to go grab my coffee, so maybe just give me 30 seconds, but go ahead and see if you can work that out, please.
okay.
Okay, I'm back here. Let me know if you have any questions or if you've got something worked out.
What would the P number be again?
5 over 8. 5 over 8 here.
Okay. Okay, so the axis of symmetry is -2.
Y equals -2. It's an
Oh
equation
yeah,
full,
y
full
equals
of.
-2.
Okay, vertex.
The vertex is -3 and then -2.
Good. How about the focus?
Is the focus -2, 3 over 8, and then -2?
Yes, yes. And there's a bunch of ways you can write that. I don't know how either, your teacher will want that. But yeah, that's really good. Directrix,
And the directrix is -3, 5 over 8,
x equals.
or x equals, yeah.
Yeah, very, very, very important that you write it as an equation there. Okay.
And then it opens to the left.
It opens. It's P is greater than 0.
Oh, okay. I thought I said P equals, or P is greater than 1.
Yeah, it's based on 0. 0 is how, whether it's positive or negative on that front. All right, let me go grab a graph here and we'll look at this here. All right, so again, kind of like I actually always start with the vertex if you want to like how like it's really done, because that's kind of your center point between the focus and the directrix. I'm sorry, misspoke. The focus and the directrix. So -2 and 3/8, comma -2, -3 and 5/8. So you've got this kind of, I guess you've got kind of like there's a directrix there, focus is there, and it opens to the right. And it's hard to see because this, it's just not zoomed in, but it's equidistant here between the directrix line and the focus there. And then the axis of symmetry always goes right through all three of those. Something like that. So the graphing is fairly straightforward after you got all the stuff. You just go and populate the graph. They're not looking for it to be very accurate. That's why I was asking about the table. I wasn't really sure how far into these you'd been. It's not like when you first learned quadratics where you build a table and give points left and right of it.
All right, I got it. Hello.
Hey, sorry about that, Jadon. I accidentally hit the mute button. We're in good shape here, so we're going to move to number 5. I'm saying number 1, you could probably work out on your own if needed, but let's move on to something else. So what I want you to do is focus on the middle here, and notice how the vertex and focus have the same H value. Do you see that?
Yeah.
But on the right, on the horizontal axis, the vertex and the focus have the same Y value. That's kind of important here, because in this new problem, oops. In this new problem, you have to decide, is it the same X value or the same Y value? And these have the same X value. You just look at it. There's no math to do. Just look at it. Okay. So that tells you H is 10. You agree with that?
Yeah.
Okay. So our goal is still to find H, K, and P, even even if we are not given the equation. You still find H, K, and P always. Now the equation for the vertex, okay, which is really nice, that gives you K. Do you see that? So here's H, here's K. That's even better. That's like a best case scenario. It's usually not that nice. To find the P value, you got to go look for something that has P in it, which in this case is the focus. Okay. The focus says that K plus P is minus 15 over 4. K plus P is the minus 15 over 4. So we're going to write that equation. We're going to just set it up. K plus P equals minus 15 over 4. And hopefully you know K so that you can find P. And when you know it, you do know K. K is minus 4. Is that okay? So now we just need to solve for P. So we're going to add 4 to both sides. Okay, so P is equal to minus 15 over 4 plus 16 over 4, which is 1 over 4. So we found H, K, and P. We're in really good shape here. The other reason to know whether you're going down the vertical or horizontal axis is you need to know which equation to use. We now know that this is a vertical axis because they had the same x value, which means we're supposed to populate this equation. You need an H, a K, and a P. And you have an H, a K, and a P. So you are essentially done here. You have to substitute those values into that equation. I'll do that now so you can see that. All right, so your H value is 10. So you're at x minus 10 squared, 4 times 1/4, y minus a minus 4. So I'm just substituting that H, K, and P into this equation here. What do you think about that?
That's pretty easy.
Do you have to simplify here? If you can, you can.
Yeah, I think he'd prefer if we simplified.
So that means multiplying these two together, 4 and 1/4, which is 1, and then handling signs. But this is generally would be acceptable as a final answer. Any questions on that?
Nope.
So 6 is really similar, meaning it's the same thing, just with different numbers here. So what I would like you to try and do here, and I'll grab this so you can see it in the same view if you need it, is I want you to the best of your abilities, to come up with H, K, and P. And if you have questions, please ask.
Is H -4?
Yes, H is -4. It comes from the vertex. K also comes from the vertex.
Is it -8?
Yes. So the vertex is HK, H comma K. You don't have to switch the signs or anything. That's when it's in the equation. All right. So the P value is going to come from the focus. And you have to decide whether you're doing vertical axis or horizontal axis. You look to see what's the same, whether the X values are the same or the Y values are the same.
So this is a vertical.
It is. And you can cross out the other one or ignore it, sticky note over it, whatever.
Oh, wait. Whoops. Would P be negative 16 3/4? Hello? No crap. Alexa. Oh,
Hey, Jadon, I'm back here online. Sorry about that.
oh, you're good. So
But should be good.
would the T be negative 16 3/4?
All right, yeah. So like this is just a fraction situation. So you got K plus P equals, let me look here, minus 31/4. And in this case, K is minus 8. So you're going to add 8 to both sides like that. So P is actually, and that's 8, by the way. So P is 1/4 like that. So I don't know if you're allowed to use a calculator on this one, but you know, just keep that in mind here.
Oh, I thought you had to subtract them.
So because it's negative, you add it to get to the other side there. All right. So now that you got these, I want you to find the axis symmetry, vertex, focus, and directrix, please.
The axis is x equals negative 8.
Okay. It's the H value though.
Oh, x equals negative 4.
Good. Okay. And then the vertex.
Negative 4, negative 8.
Good. All right. And focus. Focus here. Oh, I'm sorry. We're not doing that. We're just writing the equation. I'm so sorry. We don't need to do all that. sideways here. So you just need to write the equation now. The equation up here using HK and P. So that would be H or X minus a minus 4 because your H value is minus 4 squared equals 4 times 1/4. That's P, Y minus a minus 8, like that. So that's X plus 4 squared equals nothing or 1, Y plus 8, like that. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so sorry, didn't mean to go in the wrong direction on that. All right, so the next ones I see are like 15, 17, 18, 19. I can talk about 15 or move to 17, 18, 19, any of those.
You should probably do 17.
Okay. All right, so let me grab that here. It looks worse than it actually is. Believe it or not. In some ways, getting the equation is more what you guys are used to because they give you something to solve for. So the vertex is always HK. Since it opens left or right, very important there, that tells you that it's a horizontal axis problem. Horizontal axis is the referring to the axis of symmetry. That means that it's left or right like that, which is this equation here. So that you're going to immediately put H and K into this equation. So here we got Y minus a minus 10 squared equals 4P X minus a minus 2 squared. Y plus 10 squared equals 4P X plus 2 squared. Now notice that you don't have P. But you have this other ordered pair here. So this is X minus 10 over 3. This is Y. We have to put those in for X and Y. So minus 12 plus 10 squared equals 4P minus 10 over 3 plus 2 squared. Why do I have 2 squareds? That's not right. Sorry about that. There it is only the Y that's squared. I don't know why that was there. That's very negligent. So from here, you just simplify on the left here, minus 12 plus 10 squared. That's minus 2 squared. That's 4. And then minus 10 over 3, 2 is really 2 over 1. So you can think of this as minus 10 over 3 plus 6 over 3, which becomes minus 4 over 3, like that. Is that okay?
Yeah.
And then it's like, what do we do from here? Well, on the right side, you can combine. So it's minus 16 over 3 times P. You're just multiplying the 4 times the minus 4 over 3. And then you multiply everything by the reciprocal here. So we multiply everything by 3 over minus 16, 3 over minus 16. So on the left, everything cancels. I'm sorry, on the right, everything cancels. On the left, you get a fraction, you get negative 12 over 16 equals P. You can reduce that to minus 3 over 4 equals P. And then that goes back in to, I believe, this line up here, right here. So you substitute that back in and hopefully, yeah, you can see that there, that just goes in. So it becomes Y plus 10 squared equals 4 times minus 3 over 4, X plus 2. The 4's cancel and you're left with negative 3X plus 2, Y plus 10 squared on the right.
I got it.
All right. So let's see here.
You can do 15 real quick.
Yeah, or 19. 19's an up or down, your choice.
Probably 15 because
Okay.
it's different.
Yeah, so 15 is about completing the square. look at that here. All right, so the first thing is you will be moving, you'll be moving anything that doesn't have a square, I'm sorry, a y, not a square, a y to the right. So you're gonna move these over. So it's minus 2y squared minus 32y equals x minus x plus 131. On the left here, you factor out a -2 from both. So it's y squared plus 16y. And then you are trying to complete the square here. So to do that, there's a couple things. There's something that's going to go here that we're also going to put there. All right, so to figure this out here, you cut this number in half. So 8 cut in half is, I'm sorry, 16 cut in half is 8, y plus 8 squared. And then the number that goes back here is 8 squared, which is 64. All right, and then to figure out what goes in this blue box, it's minus 2 times 64. That's minus 128, minus 128 there. You bring this minus 2 down. On the right, you have minus x plus 3. 131 minus 128 is plus 3. So you're almost there. On the right here, you have to factor out a -1 because the x has always got a positive there. I don't know if you can see that. I'm having all kinds of technology problems right now. Okay, there, let me share that. All right, and then let's let that load up here. Okay, and then you need to move this -2 over and divide by -2. So it ends up being y plus 8 squared, y plus 8 squared equals 1/2 x minus 3. All right, so I know it was a little choppy here, but we do have to stop here for today. I hope this was helpful, and we'll definitely can do some more another time. But that's going to do it for us for today, Jadon. Let me go ahead and just stop the recording.